Hello, and welcome back to the game that I'm currently making, known as Cosmic Rays. It's a 2D platformer that's kind of similar to like classic Megaman and whatnot, and I would like to say that the demo is out. It is on itch.io. I am trying to get a Steam page, but I'm still working things out when it comes to that, but there is a demo on the itch.io page, so if you want to play it, you can download the demo. It is the first 3 levels and the first boss fight of the game. The demo is slightly outdated from stuff that I've done. There is a bug that's in there that I know about, but for now I'm not going to update the demo until the full game is finished, because it is just easier to make a demo version from the full game than trying to update the demo version from the changes I made in the full version and trying to remember everything that I did. So it's easier for me just to do that, and hopefully that won't take too long to get that updated. Right now the demo is just to showcase the game. One additional thing with the demo is that I do also intend to have a hard mode and an easy mode, which I'll get to later in the video, in the demo as well. It's not yet because I just haven't implemented them, because I want to have the base game first so that way I can iterate on it later. But those will be in the actual demo, but they just aren't yet. And that's another update that would be made later on once I have the actual full game completed. But now that we're done with that, last time I showcased all the levels and the enemies and the bosses and whatnot that I made, mostly those 3 things. One of those bosses had a branching pathway where you could choose to either fight it or not fight it, and then you would instead fight a different boss. This boss was going to basically be a clone of yourself, which means that it was going to use all the abilities that you could get. Small problem is that you currently could not get any abilities, meaning that in order to implement this boss fight, I had to first implement the crafting system, which I had implemented in a previous iteration of this game, kinda. It's confusing. Anyways, the crafting system. In Megaman, when you killed a boss, you would get its power and then be able to use that power in the next levels. This worked because the Mega Man games had 8 bosses, meaning they each had 8 powers. This game is not going to have 8 bosses, so you can't really have 8 powers. But a different idea came up, which is that you instead kill the enemies and then get materials from those enemies, and then are able to craft things using those materials. There would be 3 categories: healing, weapons, and upgrades. Healing I won't touch on just yet, but when it comes to weapons, they were going to have limited ammo, and when it came to upgrades, they were going to be one-time, like, passive boosts to your character. But before you can craft things, you need to be able to get crafting materials, so first we need to implement getting materials from enemies. For the most part, this was fair. However, there were some issues. The Juggernaut and homing missile enemies only appeared in one level, and due to the fact that the weapons have a limited ammo count, having such a limited material wouldn't really make sense for something like that. So these, and then also the reflector enemies, were relegated to being used for upgrades for one-time things. However, they would still be used in healing, which I'll explain later. And then there's the 8-shooter. Unlike the previous enemies that I mentioned, the 8-shooter shows up in level 1. Despite this, it actually doesn't show up that often in most levels. This is because trying to make a section that uses an enemy that very quickly goes off screen is kind of difficult, and so it's just not used super often. However, there is another enemy that moves around and is hard to hit, and that is this crab thingy. The crab enemy is cool, but I just didn't really use it that often. I had literally not added it to any of the new levels that I had made. It just doesn't show up very often, and it's kind of a pain to hit. So, despite no other material working like this, I decided that it's probably best for these 2 enemies to be fused together and drop the same material. Because of this, the crab enemy got a redesign, and now it looks like this. Another thing about the redesign is that part of the reason why I didn't put it in the other levels is because it also just wouldn't really fit. It fit almost too perfectly in the cave level, which meant that it sort of would look jarring in the other levels, I felt. But with this redesign, it works better to just be placed in every level. So that's why it's now also placed in every level too. But now we can get to purchasing new weapons. Or can we? See, the weapons are going to change how the character looks, meaning that I need to make new sprites and whatnot. Okay, cool, the sprites are made. So now we can, but wait, because you need to also make sure that you can swap between both the normal form and all of your purchased weapons. And not only this, you need to make sure that the weapon swapping works no matter the order of weapons that they are in. Because you might have the intended order be charge shot, shotgun shot, sniper shot, but a player may not buy it in that order, and if you're expecting these switching mechanics to work in that way, it's going to fall apart really quickly. So basically it uses a array system which tells what weapon it is, how much ammo, and how many of that weapon you have. And then depending on the weapon that is in that array, it then changes the sprite and the bullet that is fired, and a variable which controls all of that. And finally, weapon swapping works, and also weapon purchasing works. So great, our system works. Fantastic. Small problem in playtesting, however. I implemented crafting the same way that it was implemented in Cosmic Rays 2, which doesn't work as well in this system. Cosmic Rays 2 had 3 enemy types which could each drop 2 different types of materials. This was supposed to give you some sort of improvisation, as you may not get the same materials in 2 different runs. And because there was only 3 enemy types, they would show up at all of the levels multiple times. And also not to mention that Cosmic Rays 2 also does not put in new enemy types later on in the game, while Cosmic Rays 1 does. Because of this, this form of crafting just didn't work in Cosmic Rays 1, and by the end of level 1, you wouldn't have a way to craft any of the items, which on one hand could be like a cool thing of like, oh look, in the future I'll be able to do this and I want to keep playing, but at the same time it could be kind of disheartening to see that you can't craft anything and you don't know how much longer you're going to be stuck on the basic buster when there's these cool upgrades you want to get, but you're not going to be able to get them for a while. Not to mention that just from the first level alone, but especially later on, you get so many, like red scales especially, but also pink screws during the entire game, and if they only use if you can only use 2 of them per weapon, you just have so many left over, which sure can be used for healing, but for the most part are just completely useless. So the entire crafting system was overhauled, and instead you can craft an item using 3 of the materials listed. This does mean that sort of my justification for not using stuff like the Juggernaut and the homing missile guy for the weapons sort of falls flat, but for the most part I think it's fine as they're not super common. I think it works. I think it's okay. Basically, weapons require 6 of the materials shown, 6 of any number of those materials shown, and upgrades need 15 of any of the materials shown. Well, healing is different depending on which one you choose. It can be used for any of the materials, meaning that if you have extras of some that you're not using, you can always use them for healing. So there's always a use for any material that you have. And then there's the boss fight, which surprisingly there actually isn't that much to say. He is just kind of a copy of you who uses every single upgrade and every single weapon against you. He uses the shotgun when he's close to you, and then he charges and fires his charge shot at any point he can. Right now, he's a little bit too easy, and I might buff him, but I also don't know due to reasons. Yeah, it's kind of weird, because the whole point of all this was to do the boss fight, but the boss fight had some issues trying to get him to work. There isn't really much to say other than he does that. Well, that's the end of the video. Just implementing the crafting system, which may be pretty important in the game. And it was kind of a lot of work, but yeah, I guess that's the end of the video. Or it would be. But then... So, yeah, I went to a gaming convention in order to show off my game, which meant that I needed to also do some polish work. This not only was so that other players wouldn't get stuck when playing the game at the convention, but also because I wanted people to be able to get onto the itch.io page and download the demo if they liked what they played. And so I needed the game to be presentable in that way too. This meant labeling controls for both keyboard and controller players, and especially meant making the level select work. Initially, the level select would use your initial save file, which meant they would both overwrite your save file and also use any upgrades and materials that you had in your save file. At first, I thought this was cool, but as I thought about it longer, it not only was kind of problematic, but also just was confusing to players, especially since for most games this isn't how level selects work. But when a level loads up, it loads your save file. Now you could just have it not load up the save file if you did level select, but a big problem is then if you died, it wouldn't reset your materials that you had like it's supposed to, and also reset anything that you bought like it's supposed to. However, there is a solution to this. Instead, when you load it up through level select, it will create a temporary save file, which saves everything into that instead of your main save file instead. And then when you die, it reads that and loads everything from that instead. And this works for the most part, unless you make progress in which your main story save file didn't. You see, how the level select works is it uses a variable called max level. This basically tracks what is the highest level that you have beaten so far. This is so when the game resets when you beat the game, it doesn't reset the max level and you can always go between levels and level select. In addition, there are variables for if you chose to fight the King Viper or the Cosmic Second, in order for them to show up in the level select as well. But since the level select is using a temporary save file, if you reach these points in the level select mode instead of the story mode, it won't update since it's updating those variables in the temporary save file, which not only will get deleted in the title screen, but also just isn't read in the title screen either. The solution to this problem that I came up with is that when the game saves in the level select mode, it will look at those three variables and see if the max level variable in the temporary save file is greater than the max level variable in the normal save file, and also check if the choices that you made are basically if you chose the King Viper or the Cosmic Second, and if you didn't choose those in the main story save file, and then replacing that so that you did, so that way they show up in the level select. And that was everything solved. Or so I thought, because when I was watching people play at the convention, I realized that they had more materials than they actually should have had. This is because when you die, when the scene loads again, it then reads your save file and loads everything. And normally this works in story mode, since the save file is made in the intro cutscene. But in the level select mode, if you choose level 1, it skips its intro cutscene and there isn't a cutscene for the other levels. And the temporary save file is made after you complete a level when it's supposed to save. And if you die on the first level that you chose because there isn't a save file made yet, it just doesn't reset anything because there's nothing to load. And so everything that you had keeps. This is pretty easy to fix. You just make a save file when you select the level select mode, and again it gets deleted when you get to the title screen, so nothing weird is going to happen if there was going to be anything weird that happens. One other thing, when I was watching people play it, people are not that good at this game, it appears, because basically nobody could get past level 1. I saw one person get to level 2, and I saw a different person get to level 3. I don't know if they used that other person's progress or if they did it from level 1. Either way, good job to those people, but most people could not get past level 1, which made me realize that I might need to make the game easier. Obviously, I still want the game to be tough, and I want the game to be for Mega Man fans, since that's what I am, and that's what I want to make it for. At the same time, you do have to also make your game be accessible to all people, or at least most people. Obviously, you're not going to want to try to target a demographic who's not even interested, but if there's people who are interested in at least a platformer, you might want to at least make it so that they can play it. And while I might touch up normal mode a little bit to make it just slightly easier, for the most part I think it is fine the way it is. But I do think that making an easy mode for the game is probably a good way to go. And this is what I was talking about earlier about the Cosmic Second, and that I probably won't nerf him because I'll just keep that state for the easy mode and then just make it harder for normal mode. I know that there is a discussion when it comes to difficulty, but I personally think that it's better to just allow more people to be able to enjoy your game. If people just want to enjoy the story of the game, then sure, why not? They can be given just a bomb that can kill everything. I don't see the problem in that, and then if they ever want to do the gameplay portion, they can always go back and do so. Or something like Touhou, where, yeah, there are 4 difficulties, but I don't really feel like I am, like, lesser for playing on normal mode. I just play on normal mode, and then I am just like, well, I want to get better and play hard mode. But some people don't care and will just play on whatever mode, and then be fine with the game once they beat it. I think having more difficulties and having more options is better, and so I think having an easy mode here is probably a good idea. It's just going to take more time now, since I'm gonna have to then make another difficulty and whatnot for everything. And now we are finally actually done with everything in this video, with the crafting system, the other boss fight, and fixing stuff up that wasn't working previously, so that way it worked for both showcasing the game and for the demo. And again, the demo is free to play, and as for everybody to try out the game, it will be updated when I have everything else done in the game. But yeah, that's everything, and hopefully next time I have the rest of the normal mode game done. Hopefully, that's my goal. Oh god, that's gonna be a lot of work.